This is Suck, and this video we are looking at solidarity in Poland. So first of all, we need to look at the background to problems in Poland, as Poland was one of the largest problems for the Soviet Union. So firstly, their Catholic nature severely contradicted the Soviets' atheist ideology, and secondly, it was a place where the workers contained a lot of influence. For example, their protests had forced a leadership change in 1956 after the Polish Revolution. You can watch my video on that. And in December 1970, where riots had pushed the country's communist leader to resign. And this was after workers in Gdansk rebelled at the government's sharp increase of prices and the cancellation of Christmas bonuses. So these riots were put down by the army and the police, leaving dozens of people dead and hundreds wounded. However, this particular riot meant that Władysław Gomułka resigned on the 20th December 1970, and he was replaced by Edward Gierek. Now, rebellions such as these led to a pattern within Poland. So the Polish government would be faced with crippling foreign debt, and they would have to announce steep price rises. Then the incensed Polish workers would stage multiple disruptions, and although the government would usually back down, the leaders of the riots would be arrested. So this meant that a group of Polish intellectuals made KOR in 1976, and this provided legal and financial aid to the workers who had been arrested. So by 1980, Poland was experiencing a severe economic crisis where the government once again announced a steep hike in food prices, and this was up to 100%. So this meant that the Polish workers announced a new strike action and work stoppages began to spread. So an added grievance took place when a popular activist called Ala Walentyna was fired by the management for her unofficial union work. And then as she was about to retire, this meant that she would lose her pension benefit. So this unfair dismissal meant that on the 14th of August 1980, 17,000 workers at the Lenin shipyard in Gdansk put down their tools in protest. And this idea came from an experienced political activist, Bogdan Borysowicz. Now, he was a member of the KOR. There was also support from Lech Walesa, who would eventually establish himself as the man to head the strike's negotiations with the authorities. So the demands of a strike were both that Anna Walentyna and Lech Walesa should be reinstated, the workers should get a pay increase, and that a monument should be erected for the Gdansk workers killed in 1970. But on the 16th of August, the management offered the workers a pay increase, yet Walentyna, noticing that there were larger political issues at stake, said that the strike must continue. So this meant that 300,000 workers went on strike, and they compiled a longer list of 21 demands, which ranged from more freedom of speech, the legislation of strikes, and the right to Catholic worship. So this stayed clear of an obvious challenge to communist rule, and Walesa himself denied that Solidarity was a political movement. Even so, they were able to get concessions from the government, and on the 31st of August 1980, the Gdansk Agreement meant that many of the demands were accepted, including the right to strike. So this meant that Solidarity officially registered as a nationwide organisation of free trade unions. So over the next year, the membership of Solidarity increased to around 10 million, and they became a social movement with a political reform agenda. And their aim stated not only bread, butter and sausages, but also justice, democracy, truth, legality, human dignity, freedom of convictions, and the repair of a republic. So this meant that the strikes erupted all over the country, and in March 1981, a strike involving 12 million people completely paralysed the country. So as the country's economy continued to deteriorate, it became clear that the Polish Communist Party had lost control. So there was a significant amount of worry within Moscow, and a possible invasion was discussed. This meant that they started to carry out military activities along the frontier. However, when it came to a decision, the Soviet Politburo decided against military intervention. Now, they were already bogged down in the war against Afghanistan, and they feared that the Western sanctions that would be imposed upon them would severely cripple them. So this was reinforced by the hardline chief ideologist, Mikhail Shushkov, who said that if troops are introduced, that would mean a catastrophe. However, this message was not portrayed to the new Polish communist leader, Wojciech Jaruzelski, who threatened to impose martial law. And Solidarity refused to take these threats seriously because they believed that the Polish army would not support the regime. However, on the 13th of December 1981, Jaruzelski declared that Poland was under martial law. So this meant that all gatherings and demonstrations were banned. A curfew was imposed on all citizens between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. Media freedoms were curtailed, with only one state-controlled radio station and TV station allowed. An official permission was required to leave the house for more than 48 hours, and then strikes were also banned. But the leaders of Solidarity were also arrested, and the union was banned, and Walesa himself was imprisoned for 11 months. But as a military operation, the martial law imposition was extremely successful. It brought the crisis under control, and it lessened the effectiveness of Solidarity. Instead, Solidarity were forced to go into hiding, where they re-emerged in 1989. But the imposition of martial law did also have many economic ramifications, and the US imposed economic sanctions for Poland, and both their trade and tourism suffered as a result of their imposition of martial law. So thank you for watching this video, and see you soon. Bye.